Hello, everyone. Let me just tell you how important this is. I've been distracted twice, and now I've been delayed once, delayed twice by a person, and delayed by a computer once. So this is very important. I know it sounds more exaggerated than it really is, but I haven't had been this delay since this video. So anyway, let me make this video and we'll get cut to the chase. Okay. So, would you rather see a person that is full of amazing things and has a lot of money, has a lot of skill, can climb mountains, can go underwater, or is like a famous YouTuber or anything like that? Or would you see a humble, or would you rather see a humble is a factory worker that has no value, but preaches to everyone about being wise and all that? You see, the only good thing about him is he's wise. But then the funny thing is, would you rather see him die, or would you rather see a YouTuber just be filled with hatred about that one guy? You see? You'd rather see that one guy die, wouldn't you? But let me get this straight to you, to the facts. Jesus was the one that started preaching, and he was wandering man, a carpenter, which was like a factory worker today. And he was preaching wise words, and people were being astonished. And Jesus did miracles, and this man can do. This man can also, I don't know, see spirits, but that's really strange for people. And Jesus could do miracles. He was a miracle maker. He was also everything that a person could do. But people hated him so much that they placed him on the cross, because that was their biggest torture of the day. Now, if it was medieval times, he would have been split in half, but this was not the time for Jesus to be tortured. Instead, the time that Jesus was supposed to be tortured was when he was supposed to be placed on the cross, or on a wooden, wherever that wooden plate is. Anyway, and he ended up, being really tortured, and people hated him, and they loved it. And the disciples, not disciples, but the disciples, not the apostles, but the disciples ended up deserting him and hiding everywhere. So most of them even in a cave or some sort of building that has no light, or barely any light. And they wanted to hide from the Roman soldiers that ended up trying to crucify him. And my point is, that same factory worker that basically was wandering man, had a law of judgment. He was sees spirits and had power to do everything devastating to people that he did not approve. He would end up being killed by something because people hated him, and they would also even you guys, even they would end up they would end up giving everyone else gifts, because those two people with judgment was being just, and he ended up he will end up being killed, and then people will give gifts to everyone. It'll be such a terrible day to the Christians, but best day for everyone in the whole entire world ever, for the world. Now, basically, also there's also a sect of Christianity that is called Catholicism, and that sect of Christianity, it's basically based off of hating sin and hating everything that's unholy, and trying to be kind as possible. But really, let me just tell you something about that. If you hate sin to the max, then aren't you being filled with hate? Also, if you believe in being kind, but don't believe in Jesus being saving you at all, aren't you a hypocrite? Aren't you being a hypocrite if you sin, but hate sin to the max? You see, I've seen a lot of people that are filled with hate for sin, but they all also do it in anyway because what the heck, they can get away with certain things. Like Catholicism has extra sets of sins that are not even involved with real Christianity, and they still do that because it's like extra set of sins that no one can do, and that's called hypocrisy. Now, is it a good idea to love sin? Absolutely not. Now, let me get to the point here. If you love sin, then you're condemned. If you completely hate sin, you're condemned. You just have to know that sin is going to drag you to hell no matter what, and you have to try to escape from sin. And so all you have to do is call out to Jesus, and He is the one. He is the only one that can save you. Because He was hated by man doesn't mean that He can't save you. Because He was a creator of a man. He was the one that created man, and He was perfect in His sinless ways. And He also hated sin because He hated what it did to people. We cannot base ourselves off of what Jesus did because the few things that Jesus did because that'll make us go I don't know, dark and crazy. So what I'm telling you is try to love everyone in the world, but don't like the sin, but not to the extreme. Just say that sin has bound me up too much, and just say it to yourself and say, I cannot do this without Jesus. Jesus, please save me from sin. Just say it in the way that you're afraid that sin will drag you to hell. Do not hate it as in be offended by it. Just hate it by the fact that you're afraid that it will drag you to hell. And also know that God's judgment that God will possibly judge you, but if you have Jesus within you, then you shouldn't be afraid of death, because Jesus, if you're not afraid of death, then Jesus isn't within you. Just know that, okay? Jesus saved everyone that believed in Him. He saved everyone that says, please take. It's like if you believe that He can save you from death, He saves them. Now He absolutely can save you from death. I know He can. He can save me from death, and He can save just about everyone from death. Only blasphemy from Holy Spirit is unsavable from death. And basically, humility is being humble and knowing that Jesus is the only one to save you, and being humble and saying that I'm not perfect. I mean, I know I'm not perfect, and just being humble and knowing that nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. That means that you have come to terms that Jesus is the one that saves, and He also is the one that will judge. He's an all-loving God, but He's also an all-just God as well. And He is that wandering factory worker. And who are the amazing people? The great sinners, the Pharisees. The Pharisees were the one that basically tried to place Jesus on the cross. And the Romans were the amazing people as well. And the Romans were the ones that were very much responsible for placing Jesus on the cross. And you know who else is a Roman? Yep. The Pope. But it doesn't mean he's responsible for taking people's lives away automatically, but the devil within him is the one that is responsible. Now, I don't know how it goes, but Rome is basically the city of desolate people, and also so is the United States. The world system, I believe, the system of religion, and basically it goes all over the world, but also it's the system that is that believes in New Age and all that, and the certain religions. That's called Babylon, I believe. We also know that Jesus will prevent everyone from wandering away, even though he was even though he's a wandering Jew. We can also be those Christians that can save people. Now, don't just become a proud Christian or become a Christian that absolutely hates sin. Become a Christian that is loving and does loving acts for people that would never otherwise know that person for what he did. Let's just say that the person does a huge loving act for the other person, and let's say that's a person. Let's say I don't know, like he donated for a lady for the ladies' care for teen pregnancies, and let's say that the teen, I don't know, kind of got raped but kind of didn't, and she was youthful and she didn't know better, and then she ended up having a baby. Well, that funding of his went to her, and she didn't even know him. Excuse me. And what ended up happening was she will thank him much later when she ends up dying from old age, possibly. And that man that ends up dying later and goes to heaven for being nice, going to heaven. And that just means that people will be shocked to know that, oh wow, this man helped me in my life. He helped me from perishing and going to hell. Wow, that should really be with that man. It's a loving kind acts that really help people, but it's also knowing that you're not perfect and that you're also a sinner. Let's say he also, I don't know, is homeless, and I don't know, I don't know, let's say he's a protective man and he will fight for his own life. That's not the best. That's not the best thing to do, but he will also have to protect himself. But he fights for his own life because he is a rejected man of the world, and he has to do all what he has to do is to protect himself, even if he has a gun. But I also had a story about the steel pillar. You see, this man, he ended up shooting people that he didn't trust, and he ended up shooting a whole lot of people, and tried not to have people born to end up killing him, like a baby or woman. So he ended up going to jail for life, and then getting a death sentence. But he ended up, the funny thing is, he said, God, please love me. I didn't know what I was doing. I was only a sinner. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I was a horrible man. Instead of judging him, he was loved. And at the end, he was so loved that, he even knew that Jesus was one that could save him. He knew that Jesus was the one that could do anything for him, even save his own life from hell. In his own cries, he was sent to heaven. Even though he was a gang person, even though he was a great murderer, and even though he was some sort of serial killer, he repented from that, and now he's in heaven. But he can't be offended the fact that he went to heaven, because the world is offended by anything. The world is offended by anything. The the world is offended by anything. And the fact that the world can be offended by any little thing, like especially the Catholics, they could actually send themselves to hell because of how offended they are about the person. Being offended a lot can also actually send you to hell. So just know that being humble and knowing that Jesus will spare your life just because he was on the cross, that means he will give you all the favor that he did to save you from death. And he did all his loving acts just for you. His most loving act was saving the universe from hell. That's all I have to say, okay? All right, I'll be done now, okay? Bye.